Hey there, how you doing? It's kind of a gray afternoon today, and we're going to talk about cookpots. If you read my blog on the trek, you probably saw that I have been struggling not only with all my gear, but with a cookpot in particular, because this one is the GSI Hall-Lite, and it's a good pot. It's a 1.1 liter pot. It weighs about 8 ounces, and one thing that I really like about it is how snugly the lid fits on top here. Another thing I like about it, the lid handle just pops up open like that. It's very secure for lifting. Has this nice little silicone tab on the top so that when you're cooking something and you need to take it off, you don't burn your fingers and you don't need a cloth or anything. And I'm able to pack inside my mug, and then inside my mug all kinds of goodies. So I can fit my stove in here, some fire starters, a cloth, that sort of thing. So it makes a very compact little cook set for me. But the pot is, as I said, 1.1 liters, which is a little bit more than I need. I've realized just from my past few shakedown hikes that I'm putting in a very small amount of water for the size of the pot. It really is just more pot than I need, and 8 ounces, it seemed like it was a place where I could shave some weight. So I started looking at titanium pots. This one is made out of aluminum, and they're very expensive. This was, I think, $29.99 at REI. Titanium pots can go anywhere from about $40 on up, and so I've hesitated to spend the money, but in doing that cost per gram comparison, I'm starting to think maybe it's worth it if I can save for maybe even 6 ounces. So after doing a lot of research, I decided to go with the Snow Peak pot. That's actually, it's a cook set with 2 pieces. The lid doubles as a fry pan. You could just set it on like a double boiler and cook if you want, or use it separately if you want to make some little baby pancakes, or if you just want to do something that only requires a small pot. And I thought, hey, that's kind of neat. It's together lighter than the GSI pot, but handy if I decide I want to make pancakes, even though I'm not a pancake person every morning, but it might be nice along the trail, or even to kind of make a biscuit or heat up something else on top to go with whatever I'm cooking inside, if I'm actually cooking in the pot instead of just boiling water. But I got this and I noticed a couple of things. It's a 900 milliliter pot, which was my target size. The fry pan handles, of course, they're not coated, so that saves a little bit of weight, but it also means that you need a rag or to pick them up while you're cooking. And I found that it's very difficult to undo this handle. In fact, I can't even do it while I'm talking to you. So I'm sure I would get better at that on the trail, but it's just very cumbersome. And the handles on the pot are also not real ideal. It's kind of a little bit floppy if you're not careful, and I'm afraid that they would loosen up over time. So not thrilled with the handles. Also not thrilled with the way the lid sits on the pot. It's kind of floppy, and certainly wouldn't stay together in a pack without adding a band or something. So I actually was a little bit disappointed when I got this, and I thought, that's not really going to work for me. The weight saving, I think, I'll post it on the video on the screen there for you to see, but it wasn't dramatic. I think it was about 2 ounce savings or so. So I decided I needed to keep looking. I went on Amazon and was researching lots of reviews about pots. And I did read reviews all over the place, anywhere from YouTube to all kinds of online sites to get people's feedbacks on the pots. And one that came up that was somewhat popular was this House Pro set. This is actually a 3-piece set that I found on Amazon. And I thought, I don't need this larger pot. This is what I'm going away from. But even with the 3 pieces, it was lightweight, and the price was right. So I thought, I can get this if I ever do car camping or something and I want to have this along, that's fine. But for my backpacking cook set, I could just take these 2 pieces, and I would still have the fry pan and the smaller pot. Now, one of the things that's nice is to be able to put the pot, the gas canister inside the pot. It does fit in here, along with, I could probably slide over my stove in there as well. So that would work for storage, although certainly my mug wouldn't fit in here. It stacks differently for storage. It goes this way instead of this way. But when you're cooking, you can use the fry pan as a lid. It's got coated handles, which I do like, even though they're slightly heavier. And the handles on this, both of them, are much sturdier than what I found with the Snow Peak. It also has this little ridge here, so if you're using this as a pot lid this way, it's not going to pop off on you. So definitely some things I like about this set, but I really started wondering, do I need the fry pan? That fantasy of creating pancakes, I thought, okay, in reality, how often am I really going to do that? And would even a small pot allow me to do that if I chose to? So I said, this is not a deal breaker whether I have a fry pan lid or not, although I kind of like the idea. It's not a must-have criteria for me. So I did a little more research to see what was the lightest pot that I could find. And I came across this Evernew titanium pot. It's shorter than the pot that I have now, so it won't hold my mug, but it's about a quarter of the weight. And it's also got the silicone on the top, so that makes it easy to pick up the lid. The lid fits inside nice and snug, so I don't have to worry about it falling off. It's got a little tab, or spout, I guess you call it, for pouring water if you need to. Strain something if you're making pasta or something like that. That would be very handy to pour out water and be able to have your food inside. It's got the silicone handles here, and again, this is pretty sturdy. Not quite as sturdy as this one that actually locks, but still pretty sturdy. So overall, this looked like a pretty good pot, and I'm happy with it. It's super, super lightweight, and I would assume that, you know, if you stepped on this or dropped a rock on it, you might get some dents, but it's pretty good. Now, a couple things I'm concerned about is the graduation marks. They're pressed into the metal, and I don't know if you can see, it is only in milliliters. So I like to gauge ounces. One workaround that I learned from my sister was just to put marks on my water bottle for ounces, so I know how much I'm actually pouring into the pot, which is a great idea. But I'll also be able to just gauge if I'm tired, lazy, whatever, just pour some water in the pot and figure out, is that a cup, is that 2 cups, how much is there? I'm sure if I use this one on the trail, I will learn that and get in the habit of gauging properly. These, fortunately, are a little bit more visible than in some of the other pots. Actually, not being able to see the gradation marks in this pot was one of the first concerns I had before I even realized that it was too big. It does have milliliters and ounces, but I could just not see them on the trail when I was cooking, particularly if it was starting to get dark. So I definitely want to be able to read how much liquid I'm putting in my pot. The Snow Peak pot also has the marks inside, and it does have both ounces and milliliters. The pots from Health Pro do not. So that was kind of a deal breaker for me, even though, as I said, I could measure my water bottle. I really want to be able to look in the pot and see. So in spite of the fact that I really truly like the coated handles, I like the fact that you get 3 pieces in case you do at some point want to carry 3 pieces, even though I would only carry 2. Like this pot, it's a good weight, but not as good as the Evernew titanium. Now, I did see in some reviews that folks were concerned that the lids sometimes flip into the pot, which I can see could be an issue if you're pressing down hard on it, but I think if you're careful, it just sets on there nicely, and that's going to be a nice choice. So I'm getting ready to take a 4-day trip on the AT. I'm going to knock out about 44 miles, and I think I will take this pot as my choice. I'll have to reconfigure my packing system a little bit since the mug won't fit in it, but I can put my fuel and my stove and a couple of other things in here, and just see how much I like this one compared to the GSI pot. And this one may very well win out to be my pot for the Appalachian Trail. So I made a bad call on that Evernew titanium pot. I should have listened to the reviews about the lid falling in, because when I took it out on the trail and was boiling water, there were a couple times where the lid actually did tip into the pot, which to me is kind of a dangerous thing. And additionally, it didn't actually hold the fuel canister very well. It needed a few millimeters more to actually clear the lid and the canister. So I really kind of baffled why an equipment manufacturer would make a pot of that design that's so close to holding a canister but actually won't do it. And the lid wouldn't stay on in my pack, so it was just really sort of cumbersome in terms of packing it. Loved the coated handles, but did not like the way the lid kept falling off, both while cooking and not. So that's out. I actually came home and sent it back, and my next trip I'm going to try the Health Pro setup that I showed you, just the 2 smaller pots, and we'll give that a test on my next overnight, which is coming up this weekend. Hopefully that will work out better and I will finally found my perfect pot. But if you stay tuned and look at my future gear videos when I show what's in my pack as I get closer to the trail, I'll let you know what I finally end up deciding on. But all the ones I've showed you I think are good options, just depending on what your preferences are. But for me, unfortunately, that Evernew pot just didn't work out. Take care. Happy hiking.